Hello and welcome to Everyday Lessons Every Day. I'm David McBee. A few short years ago, my family walked on eggshells around me because I was so filled with anxiety and anger. And I knew I had to make a change before I lost them. That's when I turned to self-improvement books to work on myself and to improve my relationships. After several months of reading every day and applying the lessons I learned from those books, I was able to go from grumpy to grateful. It was this journey that inspired me to write my book, Everyday Lessons Every Day. The power of personal development changed me, and I believe it can change the world. To that end, I invite everyday people to share their everyday lessons and how those lessons are changing their lives for the better. This week, we're going to take a page out of my season 1. Before I had guests, back then I would bring you everyday lessons from the books, songs, and movies I was reading, hearing, and watching. This week, I was inspired by a song and an old movie quote. So it's just me this week. I hope that's okay. This is episode 51. Be present. I love being a dad. It's my absolute favorite thing ever. And when my kids were little, I thought I was super dad, or at least I tried to be, right? When I would get home from work and on the weekends, everything was about the kids. My whole world revolved around them. We'd go to the park or go camping or go for a bike ride or just watch Pixar movies for hours and hours. When my son was little, we'd go on creek walks looking for critters and just getting muddy. He was in the Boy Scouts, and that meant campouts every month, plus summer camp and high adventure camping. I attended as many events as I could, and it created a strong father-son bond. His mom, my wife Emily, she was also active in Scouts, so that helped us all spend time together. As for my daughter, I can't begin to tell you how many hours I spent at the softball fields. First of all, as her mother's assistant coach, and then as a loyal parent in the stands. Basically, I've spent the last 20 plus years wearing my dad hat many, many hours every week. Today, my daughter Zoe turns 16 years old. Wow. Wow. So our relationship has changed quite a bit. She has new responsibilities with marching band and forensics, both of which I try to be involved. But it's not like when she was little. She doesn't need a ride, and mostly the teens can take care of themselves. My son, who's 21, is truly an adult with rent and a car payment and a full-time job. His passion is cars, so we have that in common, but he's also very independent. So lately, I have found myself with more free time as the kids go off and do their own things without Emily and me, and that's fine. That's the nature of things, I think. Soon, Zoe will be off to college, and I'll be desperate for a phone call. Tanner may still live in the basement, but he's got a life, and a lot of it doesn't involve me. My point is that they're growing up, and I've discovered how much I miss them being little. I miss their little high voices and the hugs around my legs and the enthusiasm they showed me after not seeing me all day. Don't get me wrong, they're wonderful young adults and we have a terrific relationship, but it's definitely different when they're teens than when they were little. So the weird thing that is happening is that I've found myself pining for the past. I'm always telling my friends with little ones to enjoy the time they have before it's gone. I look through old photos on my phone and I fondly appreciate those pre-braces, crooked smiles, and those messy heads of hair. I literally long for the days when they were tiny. And if I'm honest, I've even started to look forward to having grandkids one day. But that's not where my head should be. And I know that because way back in 1983, I learned an everyday lesson from a little green dude named Yoda. Yes, this episode's everyday lesson comes from the Star Wars film Return of the Jedi. And if you know me, you're probably thinking that it was only a matter of time before Star Wars got featured on my podcast, right? I'd describe the movie to you, but I'm guessing you've seen it. If you haven't, just stop listening right now because we can't be friends. Just kidding. Or am I? Anyway, the quote from the movie is from Yoda, but it's not the quote you're probably thinking of. Yes, do or do not, there is no try is a seriously good everyday lesson, but I've got a different one for you. When Luke Skywalker goes back to Dagobah to complete his Jedi training, Yoda and the ghost of Ben Kenobi have a little dispute about Luke's commitment. And Yoda says, should I do it in the voice? Sure, why not? This is my podcast. I can be a goofball. Yoda says,
all his life has he looked away, to the future, to the horizon, never his mind on where he was.
That's not a terrible Yoda impression, right? Of course, it kind of sounds like Grover, or maybe even Miss Piggy. Anyway, I was reminded of that quote this morning when I heard the first published song by my nephew Jacob on Spotify. It's an absolutely beautiful and well-produced song, and I'm crazy proud of him. But here's the funny thing. While I listened to it, I couldn't help but see the Jacob from over 20 years ago sitting in his high chair, eating grapes that his mother had cut in half so he wouldn't choke, and telling me how excited he was about going to the Whole Foods, David. This tiny little human who used to be so afraid of balloons and loud noises is now a college graduate and a seriously good musician. He's a man, and that blows my mind. But it got me thinking that I should maybe stop pining for the past, stop waiting for future grandchildren, and that I should spend more time appreciating the present. I'm at that age where I am surrounded by young adults that I knew as babies, toddlers, or teens. Tanner's Cub Scout Den are all adults. I could buy them a round of drinks, or rather, they could buy me a drink, and that blows my mind. But what's even better is seeing them come into their own, discovering who they want to be and what they want to do with their lives. As for Zoe, still a teenager in high school, but taller than me, with dreams for herself bigger than I even had for her. She's something special. Of course, we argue, but she makes excellent points, and I have to concede more often than before that she's right a lot of the time. She loses her temper exactly like I did, but she's able to rein it back in and offers these beautiful, heartfelt apologies, something I didn't learn until my 40s. She's amazing, and I believe she's going to do amazing things. I couldn't be prouder. And so on this, her 16th birthday, I'm making a conscious effort to heed Yoda's everyday lesson, and I'm going to live in this moment, not in the past, not in the future. I'm going to live right here in the middle of these moments, appreciating the teenager becoming an adult years in the same way I appreciated the baby turning into the toddler years. She won't be a teenager forever. And although this stage is often filled with drama and conflict, it's a time I want to embrace because it'll be gone before I know it. So I'll be writing the word present on my wrist this week to remind me to live now and to appreciate this time. It's okay to miss the past and it's okay to look forward to the future, but I'm going to do a better job of living in and appreciating the moment now. And I hope you will too. Let me know what happens when you implement this lesson by reaching out to me at everydaylessonseveryday.com. You can also purchase my book while you're there or learn about hiring me to speak about personal improvement at your upcoming event. If you like the stories brought to you by Everyday Lessons Every Day, please consider writing a review, and also please share this podcast with your friends. Let's see if together we can make the world a better place. I'll see you next time. Now go out there and do something awesome.